Hey, what's up, guys? I mean, it was bound to happen eventually. People have been asking me for such a long time now to make a tier list. So I figured, sure, why not? So, first things first, this is a level 10 kit tier list, meaning not Prestige 2. I am not taking into account the Prestige 2 upgrades. Okay, I'm not taking account anything to do with Prestige 2. This is just level 10. Secondly, I've already made the tier list and I have it off on my other monitor so that this doesn't become a Darien video and take 45 minutes to go through all 40 kits. Okay, cool. Now, we're going to go from F to S tier, obviously, starting with the worst kit in the game, which, in my opinion, is Knight. There is no reason to play this kit. 90% of the time, you will replace every armor piece except your helmet. Maybe one game you won't find an iron chestplate, or you won't find chain pants. But, for the most part, that one extra prot level that you would get of wearing the prot 1 gold over a regular chain chestplate doesn't mean anything, really. It's a pretty useless kit, in my opinion. The only reason Spell is ahead of Knight is because it gets a diamond helmet, which you will not replace. That is it. This kit is just Meatmaster, but worse. Don't get either of these kits. Okay. Now, in E tier, we have Troll. I think it might be controversial that Troll is higher than Spell and Knight, because so many people say Troll is the worst kit in the game. But I was thinking about it, and to be honest, I would rather play Troll than Spell or Knight, because it gets 64 snowballs. That's basically it. Like, it gets projectiles, while the other two kits don't. And its Witch can be useful. It's not very good because it drinks health pots. I think if it didn't drink health pots, it would be a much better kit. But, yeah, that's where Troll is. Next, we have Red Dragon. This is also a pretty bad kit. The only reason it's in this tier and not down here is because it gets mobs, a diamond helmet, and the Flint and Steel can actually be useful if you're good with it. That's pretty much it. It would be higher if this was Prestige 2 and it got an Iron Sword, but it doesn't, so it's going to have to be down here. Personally, I just don't enjoy playing this kit either. It's not a fun kit for me. I don't really like it that much. Next, we have Diver, because it's such a situational kit. If this was Cthulhu, obviously Diver would be S tier. But this is for Blitz in general. And other than like 2 maps, Diver's really just not useful. And there are better alternatives for AP kits, so just not the best kit, really. It's just not useful. So, now we're on to D tier, which is my second largest tier. Starting off with the worst kit in D tier, we have Warlock. Now, that's probably going to be controversial, because I could see it being higher in D tier. But I think the strength pots are just so useless. And in fact, they're more of a hindrance than anything, that it just doesn't even deserve to be higher than this. If this was, last update before they nerfed it, it'd be up here, probably. A tier, I'd say. But it's not. The strength does 3 hearts of damage to you, 30% of your health, and maybe will let you do an extra 1 heart of damage to the other person. Like, they really just aren't useful anymore. So, and I'm putting Viking next. Viking is, on every map, other than, like, Cthulhu, just better Diver. It gets a better helmet and, like, slightly worse boots. And while they're not diamond pieces, if they were diamond pieces, it would be much better. But they're not diamond pieces, so it's not much you can do about it. Other than that, it's just kind of like a bland, boring kit. Like, Viking is the type of kit you would want to kill someone who went Viking, but you would never want to go Viking, really. That's the type of kit it is. Next we have Tim. The only reason Tim is ahead of these two kits is because it gets Diamond Pants, which is why it's ahead of this kit. And the reason it's ahead of Warlock is because you can actually enchant your Stone Sword. Like, every game guaranteed. XP bottles are really common now, and honestly, I think they need to be. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. But that, of course, unfortunately invalidates Tim. Like, the Diamond Pants are nice, but it's just not enough to carry the kit. And yeah, the only reason it's higher than Warlock is because you get the basically Sharp 1 sword guaranteed every game. Next we have Rogue. I don't think this is a good kit. I think you can play it very smart if the other person doesn't know you're Rogue. But you would have to, 1, not be a known Rogue player or be nicked, and 2, not be wearing any of your Rogue armor. Because Darian said this a million times, Rogue is an extremely telegraphed kit. If you're still wearing your Rogue armor, or people know you play Rogue, and you're on Stone Guard and you run to the middle, people aren't going to follow you. Or it's winter and you run to the top of the mountain, people aren't going to follow you. Like, anyone with game sense will not chase you up a high place if they know you're Rogue. It does have some potential, and I think the Speed 1 Invisibility 1 pots are a cool idea, and it makes the kit a little bit better, but it's just not enough for the kit. Next we have Fisherman. The only reason that I did not put this kit down here is because it gets a rod. I don't like this kit at all. This is probably my least favorite kit, honestly. But that's just because of personal reasons. Objectively speaking, I think this kit belongs about here. It gets full chain armor and iron boots, which is really good armor, and it gets a rod. The problem with it is that almost every game you will get better items playing a different kit. Because, let's be real, pretty much every game you get a 6.25 or 6 attack damage weapon, either from killing someone or from one of your kits. And that's an equivalent weapon to the fishing rod, but you can get crits with it. You can't get crits with the fishing rod. Not to mention, at least for me, it's such a habit for me to rod someone and then switch to my number 1 slot where I keep my sword or weapon. It feels just wrong for me to rod someone and then stay on the same slot, and it's just hard to break that habit. Once again, that's probably just a personal thing. I don't know if that's just me, but that's my opinion. Next we have Farmer. This used to be a really good kit, but it got changed. It got a nerf, and I do think it needed a nerf. And it lost 16 eggs, which honestly, I think that's fine. The problem with it, though, is that when you spawn your chickens, everyone in the game will now have eggs because of how fast they produce eggs. It's impossible, if you spawn your chickens, to keep other people from getting the eggs. So, Simply Square calls it the communist kit. I think that's pretty accurate. Everyone gets the eggs. Yeah, and it gets bottom half iron, which is pretty good, and it gets an iron sword, and that's why it's above Fisherman, because it gets iron pants and it gets an iron sword, and projectiles, which I think makes it better than Fisherman, in my opinion. Next we have Jockey. This kit, I think, can be good, but I have not seen a single person effectively use this kit, ever. This kit is an extremely early game kit, giving you mid-pieces Blitz armor with protection, an iron sword, and 3 mobs. The mobs are kind of glitchy, and when they teleport to you, either they'll disappear or they'll get off the chickens. It's really unfortunate. But I think the pure gear it gets makes it a very solid early game kit. It's just, it doesn't have much potential other than that. kind of all dies after it. And if you want to play a mid to late game mob kit, there are better choices than this one. Next we have horse. I don't think horse is good. The horse is just a worse donkey. Like, there is no reason to play this kit when this kit exists. There is no reason to play this kit. Yeah. It gets diamond boots, but like, I don't think the diamond boots really are good enough to justify playing horse instead of donkey tamer. Because with donkey, you can get a faster mount, better gear, equivalent weapon, and you can, if you're playing teams, you can get that stuff for 2 people. So it's just, there is no reason to play horse over donkey. That's D tier. That's, like I said, the second most filled tier. Next we have C tier, and we started off with florist. I think florist is an okay kit. That's it. It stops you from being comboed, and it's annoying to fight against, but that's literally it. It has nothing else going for it. Then we have Creeper. Creeper, I think, is just a hard kit to play, but it's not like an amazing kit. Like, if you can use it well, you can get good games with it consistently because of the diamond chestplate. Like, you can get 3/4 probably 3 out of 5 games. Like, because there's most likely always going to be, like, a low-level archer, or someone went horse, or something, right? So, it's easy to get stacked with this kit, but the utility just isn't on par with some of the other ones. And next we have Hype Train. I'm putting Hype Train over Creeper, because it gets a rod and a clean iron sword. I mean, with how common XP bottles are, that's basically a sharp iron sword half your games, because you have a 50% chance of getting sharpness on an iron sword. So, half your games, you get a sharpness iron sword. And you know those games where you don't get a rod and you lose the game because you don't get a rod, and you're like, darn, if only I had a rod. Doesn't happen with this kit. And then I thought it'd be funny to put it just one spot over Creeper because it gets 3 TNT. That's my reasoning. Next we have Scout. I think that Scout can be the best kit in the game if used right, but the skill cap, or the skill ceiling, is just so high that only a select few players have ever gotten like maximum value out of it, and even then they could probably still use the kit better. It's a really good kit, but it relies on being super passive at the beginning of the game and basically only playing late game. And I don't know, I'm more of an aggressive player, so that does influence my choices, but that is how it be. Alright, next we have Astro. I think Astro is a very good kit, because you get full chain. You basically get Fisherman armor, right? But you can jump off things. And the resistance pots, I think the resistance pots are underrated. People never drink them, and they do make you take less damage. It's like having like another armor bar. It's really useful. I think this is just an overall pretty good kit. And then I'd put armor above it though, because armor doesn't get the same extent of feather falling, but it gets more more utility in its armor, and better armor. The only problem with it is that the protection's RNG, so you can die really, really quickly. But with the fact that XP bottles have been increased in, they show up more often, I think that puts armor in a better place, because you can get sharpstone swords easier. Alright, starting out B tier, we've got Hunter. Hunter, the splash speed pots are really good. Like, having speed on demand is actually insane. I think the only reason that it's not higher is because of the 5 attack damage weapon. I just can't put it higher than that. Like, I don't like 5 attack damage weapon kits. It's just so... I just don't like them. That's... But having speed on demand is really good. And it also gets kind of lackluster armor. There's that too. Alright, now we're getting into mob kits here. Iraq. Better jockey, basically. More mobs. 3-force blitz armor. Same weapon. I think it's just a better jockey. That's basically all I have to say about it. Next we have Blaze. And I might be biased towards this kit, because it was my first level 10. But I really like this kit. It's a fun kit to play, and the Fire Axe makes it so people can't run away. And that is really good in this game, because people like to run forever in this game. So, having mobs that shoot fire and light people on fire from a distance, and also having the ability to light people on fire, is really good. Now, the thing about Blaze, though, is that the Fire Axe can also cause double damage bug, right? So if you hit someone as they take fire damage, it's like getting a rod trick without having to do anything. But they're lighting people on fire also causes a problem, and it's that they take no knockback, so using it in an actual fight isn't always the smartest idea. Next we have Meat Master. Honestly, I don't think this kit... Like, I can't put this kit any higher than this. It gets the Prot 4 helmet, so it's just much better spell. And that was it for a long time. And of course, now the Elemental Bros has come up with... Not come up with, but he's learned how to use the pig effectively, basically. And people are saying it's OP. But it's really not. It's a good, unique strategy with a high risk, high reward. Because using the pig is very hard to control, for one. For two, sometimes the pig just doesn't work. I was fighting him like a week ago when he was on his pig, and his pig decided to just die. Like, he just didn't want to work. It didn't want to move. So he just sat on his pig while I crit him out, and he couldn't do anything about it. So I would have trouble putting Meat Master much higher than this. And I think Wolf is better than Meat Master because its mobs will actually attack people. I would rather play Wolf than Meat Master because of the wolves. They can be used passively or aggressively, and I think it's a very good, versatile kit. I just don't like the weapon. Yeah. And we're going to put the first healing kit so far, right there, Guardian. This basically is the most passive healing kit in the game. The 2 extra hearts are really solid. Because if you can get a gap on top of that, having 28 HP is super good. The instant health pots they're pretty solid. They're good. But it's just you need to be super passive to use them. So I can't put it higher than this. And that combined with the fact that it only gets a 5 attack damage weapon. Not a 4 anymore. It used to get a 4 attack damage weapon at level 10. I think the 5 attack damage weapon was a sorely needed buff. And it also gets really good armor. Alright, next we have Slime. I have, for literally since I started playing this game in 2017, for years, been saying Slime is a good kit. I don't think it's the best kit. I don't think it's the worst kit. I think it's a pretty good kit. No one listened to me. And then Maj said, oh, it's the best kit in the game, and then there was that whole Slime craze for a while. But anyway, the knockback lets you get free double hits. And the only reason that Rogue is not up here and instead down here is because Slime is immune to arrows and gets slowness 2 pots. That's actually really good. Rogue doesn't have either of those things. The weakness 3 in Rogue doesn't do anything, really. So yeah, I think Slime is a good kit and can be used very aggressively. It's an aggressive kit. It is. It's very good for winning games. That's what it is, basically. Yeah, this is a kit that lets you win games. Buff Slime in B tier is Phoenix. This kit is actually, like, kind of insane. I fight phoenixes all the time, and I'm like, why does the bow have so many uses? In reality, it only has, 9 or 10. But you can burn those 9 or 10 uses on someone in, 8 armor bars and just get stacked and just set yourself up to win the game. You have to be good and make sure you land your bow shots. But this can effectively ruin 1 or 2 people's games, and if they're the big threats in the game, it can just give you a free win. I think it's really good. And with the recent buff, it gets a weapon. So. And then rounding out B tier, we have Pig. I don't think that the 0.5 or the 0.25 damage over a sharp stone is that big of a deal. Obviously, it does get the strongest weapon from a kit in the game at level 10, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I do think it gives it an edge, but it's not that big of a deal. The reason it's up here is because of the Pigman mob and the damage pots. Both of these things are absolutely crazy. When you have a Pigman mob, it's basically a 2v1. And the Pigman actually has longer reach than players. If you've ever tried to hit a Pigman, half the time it will hit you before you can hit it. It's kind of ridiculous. And it has a lot of health and doesn't take much damage because of its armor. And then, of course, the damage pots are literally just an AoE rod. If someone's coming at you and you just have to look at their general direction, right-click, and you get a free combo. And you can do it twice. It's really crazy. Starting off A tier, we have Snowman. Snowman takes Troll's 64 snowballs and then makes it an actually good kit. It gets the Prot 3 Iron Helmet, which is crazy. It gets the Diamond Axe, and it gets the Snowman mobs. The Snowman mobs make it pretty much impossible to chase someone. If you are losing a fight as Snowman, all you have to do is look at the ground, place your Snowman, and you get away for free. For free. I always get mad when people do this to me. It's actually just a free getaway. Alright. Next up, we have the 3 debuff kits. We have Tox, Shadow, and Reaper, in that order. The reason that they're in this order, Toxicologists, right? The poison is really good. The regen is really good. But I just don't think the poison stands up to these other 2 debuffs. Not to mention, both of these kits get some sort of protection, which means you can combine it with other protection pieces to get more protection values out of it. You could make an argument. Honestly, I feel that these 3 are all interchangeable. I feel like they could go in any order, but I've just decided on this order. And the reason that they're interchangeable is because of basically Tox's regen pots. If it didn't have regen pots, I'd probably put it in B tier or C tier. Anyway, next is Shadow Knight. If your opponent is not using anti-blindness, this kit is ridiculous. The thing about blindness, though, is that you can beat it without using anti-blindness. So, just the fact that you can, if you get blinded and you're still sprinting, you can still rod combo a person pretty easily, right? You just have to kind of predict where they are. It's not that hard to do. And I think the best of these 3 kits is Reaper, because the Wither 3 pots do 6 hearts, and they kill you. So if someone lands 2 pots on you, full hit, you are actually dead. You will die from that. That is crazy. Not to mention, the person can't see what health they're on because of the Wither effect, and you can easily combo it with a double damage bug, because you get ticked so quickly with Wither 3 that if you're just hitting someone, you could probably 2-shot them with this kit. It's actually crazy. And then rounding out A tier is Golem. I don't think Golem is an S tier kit. I don't. Okay? I know that I have 50,000 kills with this kit. But we're talking about level 10, not Prestige 2. only reason I think it's not an S tier kit. 2 pots is not enough to make it one of the best kits in the game. It is still very good. Don't get me wrong. If you can use Golem intelligently, you can win any game, really. As long as there's not like a bunch of stacked people. All you have to do is use 1 pot per big fight, or potentially even your second if you absolutely need to, and you can win the whole game. It's just the 2 pots is just not enough. 3 is a different story, but anyway. Alright, I think the worst kit in S tier is Archer. Worst kit in the best tier, right? I think this simply because you don't get a weapon, and I hate not getting a weapon. The Power 2 bow does crazy damage, but in the current meta, with Necro being such a dominant kit right now, it's just not as good. That's pretty much it. You can also counter it with speed pretty easily in Deathmatch. If you just drink a speed pot and AD strafe, most archers will miss their shots and you can kill them pretty easily. Next up we have Warrior. People are going to disagree with me for placing Warrior this low on S tier, but I seriously do not think Warrior is as broken as people think it is. It is a very, very good kit, but I don't think it's super broken. Maybe that's because I like to have a more aggressive playstyle, and with this kit, it's actually best played passively by throwing the pots when you're trying to run away from a fight, or you're already in a fight and kind of low HP. You can play it aggressively and throw pots before fights, but it's not as effective because you're wasting some of the regen 1, which actually does make a difference. It also gets good weapon, insane armor. It's just an all-around really good kit. Next we have Paladin. The only reason Paladin is higher than Warrior is because of the fact that it gets instant health. The ability to be on 1 heart, rod your opponent away, look at the ground, be on 7 hearts, turn around and kill your opponent is actually crazy. I think that this kit is really good. It gets top half iron and an iron sword, which isn't too shabby either. Next we have Necro. This kit is so boring to play. Okay? It is so boring. It's such a passive kit, but that's why it's so good. You get full chain, you get a punch bow with 20 arrows, and you get literally an entire army of mobs. The only downside to this kit is the weapon, which of course gets fixed at Prestige 2, but that's not the point. It's level 10. Literally, you don't have to loot chests with this kit. You could go AFK, and as long as you don't die while you're AFK, come back at kits and you could win the game easily. You just have to play passive. I messed this up because I forgot a kit. I'm going to put Ranger here. Donkey Tamer was meant to go here, in A tier. I did mean to put Donkey there. That is my fault. Like I said, Donkey, you can get some pretty crazy loot, but I just don't think that it stacks up to the healing kits and bow kits of this tier. Anyway, yeah. Baker, best kit in the game. Ranger, second best kit in the game. Ranger is the best kit for winning games. It is. If you go into deathmatch with a Ranger bow and you don't melee, you will win the game. 100% of the time, you will win the game. It's just how it works. Even if someone's, Necro and full prot, you could just bow them into the border and they will lose. It's actually ridiculous. It's crazy. I don't think Punch 2 should be in Blitz. But still, I think Baker is a better kit. Because going into a fight, having regen and resistance makes you virtually unkillable if you have the right stuff. Like, if you're in max Blitz and you splash a Baker Pot, you can take, like, 7 hits from an Iron Sword and still be on half HP. Not to mention, it gets an Iron Sword and a Gap, so even if you do happen to get totally destroyed in a fight, all you have to do is Gap, splash another Baker Pot, and it's like you reset. Anyway, that's my kit tier list. I think, for the most part, the tiers are pretty even. Anyway, tell me your guys' opinion in the description, why do I always say that? Tell me your guys' opinion in the comments. I'm probably not going to edit this video, because I don't really want to. I'm actually just going full Darien style on this, just no editing, just raw footage, kit tier list, Darien, and, I was going to say, oh yeah, 80-year-long outro, apparently. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Peace.